This is the limitless Keith Lee.
This is Brody King.
This is Angel Garza.
Will Ospreay.
Hornswoggle.
Pentagon Jr.
The Mexican Ray Phoenix.
King Ricochet.
Concrete Rose, Sunny Kiss.
And I'm here to ask you to stop what you're doing, take just one moment, and bask in the glory of the Busted Wide Open.
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 Boston Wide Open.
Busted wide open. Thank you.
You're listening to the Busted Wide Open podcast, dropping the elbow on the hottest topics in sports entertainment and the world of professional wrestling. With your hosts, Nick Howell and Sir Ian Dangerous. Coming to you from the Orbital Jigsaw Network Arena in sunny Southern California. Welcome everybody to BWO Live, coming to you from across the BWO universe of Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook. This is episode number 330 of Busted Wide Open. My name is Nick Howell.
And like Buff Bagwell behind the wheel of an automobile, I am Sir Ian Dangerous. And welcome to the show. We are here to talk about Monday Night Raw, which of course went on last night, and some fallout that has come out since then. Majorly, the fact that we're down an announcer. We're actually down quite a few backstage staff. They fired most of WWE Digital today, so that was a bit of a bloodbath over there at WWE. So we got to talk about that, as well as the entire show of Monday Night Raw and what we're going to be seeing on the road to Hell in a Cell. Got some ideas of that from Raw last night, as well as some really nice matches, actually. A couple of pretty good matches on the show last night, and a very odd main event. But we'll discuss all of that, Nick. We'll get to that right now. First, let's do a little business.
Yes. Guys, as always, linktree.com/BWO. It's the one place you got to go to get all the links to all of our stuff. And you'll want to head over there because the Nick's been sick all weekend. But he's been pushing through thanks to Sir Ian Dangerous' diligent work on the amazing new graphics. I hope you guys are enjoying that. We have new merch.
Ooh.
You guys asked for it. You guys wanted it. You demanded it. It is available. So I'm going to throw a link in the chat here so you guys can get to it. But it should come back to you. Yeah, you'll find the merch store link, all that good stuff over there. I'll make sure and throw that into YouTube and Facebook for you guys over there as well in just a minute. But yes, I'm calling it the BWO Funhouse merch. That's what this line is going to be. We're going to be adding more variations, other merch things to tie into some of the other graphics and all of that stuff. Coming soon. Wanted to get the BWO Funhouse line up there as well, or at least at first, so that you guys could cop some of that. There's phone cases. Yeah. There's a minky blanket. There's I think they got pillows. There's zip up. So be aware. There's more things available now because they've upgraded that store platform that we use. You've got tank tops, t-shirts, long sleeve shirts, hoodies, and zip-up hoodies, all available. On top of that, you got the normal coffee mugs, double XL gaming mouse pads that you can get, blankets.
That's some swag.
We got swag.
There's some swag over there.
So all of that is right now has the BWO Funhouse merch. We do have t-shirts with just the logo that you see at the top of the screen right here. That one right there. That one, yeah, you can get it with the tunes or without the tunes. So have a look, go follow the link, or just head over to, I got to make a domain for that, bwomerch.com or something. We'll get that figured out.
Yes.
Anyway, you can find a link to it over at linktree.com/BWO. That's where you go to find it. That'll take you straight over there. And plus, we haven't seen Vanguard 1 here in a while. Maybe he'll make some deliveries this week for people picking up the new merch. Costanza threw in or resubscribe with a tier 2 sub. Tier 2 for 10 months in a row. Thank you very much, Costanza, for the tier months. You get a little bit of good chicken. Woo.
Yes.
And I'm going to quit talking for a minute because I've been sick all weekend. And today's going to be a little bit of a struggle. That's what happens when you take the mask back off after 15 months and you haven't been exposed to anything. And then all of a sudden all the germs come back in and get you. So I got the chest colds and the runny, snotty noses and all that fun stuff.
Oh, yummy.
It's going to be a good time tonight, guys.
Okay. Well, I'll take point on most of this then. It'll be like our first show. I'll just
You
talk
just talk the entire time, yeah. And I'll just sit back.
No
So,
problem.
hey, Ian, tell me about this thing that you went, and I'll just go over here and hang out for a few minutes.
Well, Adnan, let me tell you all about that. Yeah, so we'll figure it out on the show today, Nick. I'm glad to hear you're feeling a little bit better at least. I know it was a rough weekend for you. But yeah, without further ado, I mean, that's all the business right there. Linktree.com/BWO. Thank you to all of our patrons. Yes. Patreon.com/BWO. If you guys want to sign up for that, get to be part of the reward tiers over there, get bonus episodes and participate in the Pick'ems challenges and get to ask questions on the mailbag episode, which is coming up coincidentally right after this show. But all of that aside, everyone, thank you for showing up in the chat. Let's go over and do it. Let's talk about Monday Night Raw.
I think I'm going to rename this show to Monday Night Lashley.
Why? He doesn't stay up past 9 p.m.
I mean, he was all over this entire show.
He had an early bedtime. He was not all over this entire show. He was over the first hour, and that was it. It was pretty much the first hour was the main event, was the men's card, and then we went to the women's card, and then it was like everything else for the rest of the show, and then the main event of the show at the end of the show was the women's tag titles, which was what? See, apparently, once again, Raw was torn up. The script was torn up hours before the show, and they were still working on the script, including the first hour, up until 30 minutes before the show. At this point, we should kind of expect that because it seems to be the stock in trade. Like that's just what they do.
Like it should be weird if they don't do that.
The script. Right. You know, but the problem is it's still noteworthy because the show still feels so haphazard. Yeah. And there's still stuff that happens where you're like, why would you do that way? It feels like you just threw that at the wall. We're like, just run with it, which is probably what happened. And people were buffing their lines, and it sounded like they were still learning their scripts. Like it was, I mean, these guys are pros. It's what they do is learn their scripts last minute. We've heard all kinds of, Leah Rush really recently, he said that, you'd have a whole thing memorized. They'd give you a new one 15 minutes before you to go out there, 3 pages of lines, and you have to go and memorize it. And this was a regular occurrence. It felt that way on this show. We start off with Lashley coming out with his ladies again. Apparently, this is now
a whole mess of new ones.
Yeah, apparently, so you can't really call it the hoe train in 2021, but I'm not saying it doesn't feel like that when he comes out, kind of like dancing with his ladies dancing behind him. Just thinking about history, memories of WWE past. But this is more the way they present it, and I do appreciate this, is that they present it more as a champion, a gladiator who is being thrown his prizes for being the champion, if you will.
Enjoying a few spoils.
Kind of right? Like this is what a champion looks like. He has his belt, he has his title, and he gets these beautiful women who follow him around as well. All right, that's how they're presenting him. What do you think the reasoning is for them having women coming out with Lashley every week? Is it to give that impression? Is it to try to loosen him up some more? What do you think the rationale is?
I have no idea. I think it weakens the position. I don't like it at all.
Really?
Yeah. I want him to continue to be just that ass whipping. I don't need him to be a playboy. I don't need him to be Richard Branson. I don't need him to be this billionaire playboy type. I need him to be a gladiator, be a boss, be the CEO of the Hurt Business, or the chief Hurt officer, excuse me. I loved that. This feels something that's more MVP than Bobby Lashley.
This feels like something more that's Vince than either one of them.
Fair. But I see MVP walking around with the medallion and the cane, and I'm just waiting for the top hat to come out,
We broke up the best faction in WWE for this.
Yeah.
Is more my complaint, is like this was your replacement for that. So I question that. We're getting a nice feud out of Cedric and Shelton enough from it, but this is still, I question this.
That I didn't get to see again on the Hulu edition, by the way.
Which, that's what you get for watching Hulu. Quick shout out, Costanza threw in 1,000 bits. Oh my goodness.
Lord.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. He said, perfect way to end my birthday weekend. Happy birthday. Happy birthday to you,
Chris.
He said, took my girl to Omaha and went to the zoo and the Museum of Shadows. Ian should definitely check that place out. Ooh, I like the name. He said, now to wrap it all up with my BWO fam. Well, Stanza, thank you so much, man. Happy birthday to you. And yeah, Museum of Shadows, huh?
You know, you're gonna get another present for your birthday.
And
I got friends in Nebraska.
You know, you just get some chicken for your birthday. Thank you very much.
For no reason,
chicken.
just gonna give out, just throwing chicken everywhere.
Chicken, we're going all chicken every time, all day.
All right. Well, speaking of chicken, Drew McIntyre has told Lashley that he was avoiding him, and he was making fun of him for losing to Kofi Kingston last week, a fact which Lashley threw back in his face, is saying, Kofi beat me because you hit me in the face with a cane, which is something that if a heel did it, we'd all be going, boo, but when a face does it, we go, yay, because WWE logic. So Drew just kind of smiled about it, and then out come Kofi Kingston to go, yeah, about that, Drew. You kind of took away my victory there. I could have beaten him without your help. So you took away, my legitimacy by doing that. I'm not really happy about that. Yeah. And Drew and Kofi started getting into it, and MVP and Lashley kind of stood back and kind of fanned the flames like, yeah. You guys don't like each other. Go fight. Go away and fight. And you know what? They did. They went away and fought. Out comes Adam Pearce to go, I like this, Drew McIntyre versus Kofi Kingston. And the winner of that gets Bobby Lashley at Hell in a Cell, which Bobby Lashley was kind of like, I'm not happy about that part, but sure, let's watch him fight. I'm going to go get with my ladies up on this big couch I'm going to have brought out for me at the top of the ramp. I'm going to lounge up there and watch the match. So right off the bat, you knew this was going to be a smudge finish, but I didn't realize the match was going to go for 20 freaking minutes, Nick.
It just did.
20 minutes.
Yeah. And I'm wondering if that's more for Kofi than Drew, honestly.
All I know is it was a good match, except for that specter of Lashley hanging at the top of the ramp when you know, okay, well, at some point it's going to be a fudge finish. And guess what? It was. At a certain point, the fight spilled outside of the ring. They ran into Lashley. He gets mad. He and MVP jump him inside the ring, DQ. And then later on, both Drew and Kofi complain about it backstage. And Adam Pearce says, look, next week we'll do a match. If Lashley gets involved, then he's suspended for 30 days, something like 60 days.
That's an interesting way to keep the title on him past the pay-per-view.
Right? I was going to say, like, if I was Lashley, I'd be like, suspend my ass. I'm still the champion. But at any rate, so we had a 20-minute match with a screwy finish, and next week we're going to see it again. Oh, WWE. That's just lazy. Now, the problem is that it was a good match, Nick. But then the idea of seeing it again next week, I mean, at least I guess we'll get a proper finish next week, supposedly. But that still is... That's stretching the pie crust pretty thin.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I do. It's too. We've been doing this. We've averaged 5 distraction finishes per show for about the last 2 months.
Right.
And I'm numb to it at this point. You want me to care? You want me to invest in these feuds that always have fudge finishes, and I can't get to the end of one of them without just eye rolling and throwing my hands up. And that's the frustration as someone who's been a fan of your product for 30 plus years now. Like this is lazy. That's all this is. It's just pure laziness.
I'm looking down the show today, and we got a distraction finish here, two distraction finish, one real finish, one distraction, another distraction finish, a real finish, and a distraction finish. So 4 and 4 on this show, which, it could be worse. I like real finishes.
Yeah. I want to see wrestling matches. Like, I like a little bit of the drama once, maybe twice at a stretch. Make it special when it happens. Otherwise, it's just diluted into meaning nothing.
Right.
And that's where I just get so wound up. Let me catch up here real quick because there's some action happening. Kyle threw in 100 bits. We had our first Vanguard 1 sighting. I want to make sure we call that out.
Nice.
Kyle Cotton threw in 100 bits, said Raw for me was basically spending most of my night trying to find names for Lashley's ladies and investing in the Charlotte Rhea feud. Everything I've been given little reason to care because it's clear Vince no longer cares until fans are back. And that's even questionable to a certain extent, Kyle.
I got some thoughts about that. But hold on.
Right now, Raw feels like it did last month at the PC era. I'm just going to call Raw Monday Night Rhea since that's the only reason I'm watching weekly at this point. I'm invested to see where they go with Lashley. Like how,
considering you had about 5 minutes of Rhea this week, that must have been a rough watch.
Right, exactly. Let's see. Costanza, we had the Vanguard 1 sighting. Costanza ordered 2 items.
Yes.
He got a BWO Funhouse mug and a BWO Tunes t-shirt. Yes. Costanza with the first new merch drop. Thank you very much, sir. And let's see. Kyle threw in another 100 bits said Monday Night Rematch is the other name for Raw. Yeah, well.
Yeah, and that's kind of the problem is we're seeing a lot of rematches, and as a result, some 50-50 booking, but it's not entirely 50-50. It's just enough to make things able to be repetitive, but it's telling you at the end of the day who they're favoring, and it doesn't actually do anybody any good. It makes both participants look bad at the end of it. Now, that being said, Kofi is being inserted into the title picture here, and last week he didn't get a clean victory. And this week, neither of them had a victory. And next weekend, next week, what are the chances Kofi beats Drew?
I think it's actually pretty high. I think it's pretty high.
There is a move that Kofi Mania is kind of muttering back on Twitter right now. People going like, dude, having Kofi in the title picture would be refreshing. Having Kofi face Lashley, not in a cell, but at Hell in a Cell, would be historic and amazing and refreshing. Because Drew McIntyre has been circling this damn title for months now, and he's pretty much been the fly in the ointment of everything, and it's making him look bad because he can't get the job done. He can't get back cleanly into the title picture, and he's looking more kind of like a spoiled brat at this point. He's looking like a badass, babyface. So, having him graciously step back and be like, you know what? You try, Kofi. That could be an interesting thing. Yeah. The summer of Kof. I would be down with that. I don't think it's going to happen. I'm cynical. I'm pessimistic. I'm not skeptically optimistic. But I think it would be a better idea. But I guess we'll see next week.
I think they're saving Drew for SummerSlam. Send Kofi up for Hell in a Cell, fine. Have Drew take the title off Lashley at SummerSlam with fans, and let's move on. Like, we've got to get past this treading water that we're doing right now. Yeah. And it's obvious to me that they are trying their best to keep Drew relevant so that it makes sense when he does take the title off of Lashley. I do fully believe that's how it's going to go down. But I just, right now, it's kind of just.
Yeah. But I think inserting Kofi into it is a good way to keep things interesting and fresh. That's not twiddling thumbs. That's actually, finding something that's fresh and new. And people are still behind Kofi, and Kofi is a believable babyface who can take on monsters like Lashley. So that's a good idea. I'm not entirely happy with how they're implementing it, shocker, but at the same time, I like the basic idea. I just worry that they are treading water with it. This is their way of extending it, adding a little bit more mixture to this to try to drag it out for longer. As opposed to having it be something where they're actually going to invest in it. So that's my worry. But speaking of not fully committing and not fully investing, Rhea Ripley this week was tricked by Charlotte into having a beat the clock challenge against Nikki Cross because she and Charlotte met up backstage, and Rhea kind of flatly said, yeah, you're not as badass as you think you are. And Charlotte was like, oh, yeah? Yeah. Well, here's Nikki Cross. And Nikki was like, hello, I'm here. I'm very, very excited. Eee! And Rhea got talked into having a beat the clock challenge.
Charlotte said she could beat her in 2 minutes. You're a fly shoe. You're bothering me.
Yeah.
And then she said,
why don't you try?
You think you can do it? Okay. Well, why don't you
try, Rhea?
Sure.
Rhea said, all right, I will. And she goes out and gets frustrated by Nikki Cross fairly quickly. So frustrated and starts beating Nikki down in the corner. She forgets about the clock.
Oops.
So now you have a champion who is so easily distracted by her emotions that she can't even win a beat the clock challenge. Now, I'm very happy for Nikki Cross here. That's a fun way to bring her back on TV and remind people that she exists. But that's not a good look for Rhea, especially when right after that, Charlotte Flair comes out to the ring and has a 20-minute match with Asuka, which she ultimately wins by countering the Asuka lock into a pin and Asuka loses again. If there's one thing I hate, it's when you force someone to have a backpack submission of some sort, and then they repeatedly get pinned by people rolling them on, like rolling out and pinning them while still in a headlock. It drives me insane. Or countering that into just like they would change that. If it was such a weakness, any good competitor would change that. I'm looking at Shayna, I'm looking at Joe, I'm looking at Asuka, but neither here nor there. Charlotte beats Asuka clean on a week when Rhea can't even beat someone in 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Is Asuka being sacrificed to this feud at the end of it all? Like, at a certain point, we were pretty happy with how Asuka was being treated. But is this, what kind of taste does this leave in your mouth, Nick?
Feels like Asuka's the third wheel.
Yes, and has been for a while. Yeah. This is just, to me, this was closing the door on that. Now it's certain.
There's part of me that regrets my desire to have Rhea take the title off of her at WrestleMania because they didn't have a plan.
No.
And it's very apparent. And I think what would have been better is have Asuka retain, have Rhea continue to orbit, bring Charlotte back into the picture, have Charlotte beat Asuka at some point in a later pay-per-view, maybe Backlash or maybe Hell in a Cell, and then you can have Charlotte Rhea. But I feel like now what they've done is they've put the cart before the horse. They gave the title to Rhea, and now they don't know what to do with Asuka or Rhea because it's all Charlotte all the time at this point. So there's a better way they could have pulled this off. Hindsight's 20/20 to a certain extent. I get it. Even I wanted Rhea to everybody wanted Rhea to get the title at WrestleMania. We all thought there would be a plan.
No, she needed to. She needed to get the title.
Sure, but they didn't.
Not having a plan afterwards does not negate the fact that she needed to beat Asuka at WrestleMania and have that moment.
Agreed. Not
having a straight up plan afterwards is the Charlotte. I like what they're doing with Charlotte. I like her new heel character. I like how she's playing it. I just feel like
I think this might be the best Charlotte ever. I'll go out there and say that.
It's probably the best heel Charlotte ever. It's one of my favorites. I love it. But the Rhea that we're getting is terrible.
Yep.
We're not getting there's not a clear idea from WWE Creative what Rhea Ripley is. Is she a heel? Is she a face? Is she a badass? Is she a dope? We don't know. We can't tell. She's just bland.
She's just there with the title on her shoulder.
Right. And now Charlotte comes out here and she's saying, I am the opportunity. I am that good. And she goes out there and takes out Asuka in 20 minutes, completely clean, I might add, on a show where they love doing fudge finishes. And she beats Asuka completely clean. Granted, yes, I know it was 50-50 booking, but this is what I'm talking about. Where there's a fudge finish where Rhea causes her to be distracted and lose to Asuka, but she beats Asuka totally clean when Rhea's not interfering. So that sends a message. Yeah. And as a result, now the first match that we know we're getting for Hell in a Cell is Rhea Ripley versus Charlotte. Will it be in a cell? We don't know yet. There's time to make that a stipulation. But that's the first match we have announced. So
we got what, a month?
That was quick.
3 more weeks?
That was quick, yeah. Charlotte loses the number one contendership, and then the next week has a match that isn't the number one contendership match, at least not announced to be, and then she's a number one contender. It hurts. Sometimes it hurts.
Let me catch up a little bit. Let's see. Sheppy threw in 100 bits. Said, why in the hell do you have Rhea lose in a 2-minute match? Then you have Asuka versus Charlotte in a good match that got commercial interrupted 3 times. What the hell, WWE?
That's a 3-segment match. They did the same thing with Drew and Kofi. That's standard operating procedure.
Yeah.
But that means it was a long match. To me, that's a good thing. They gave them a long match, as you should. And it was a damn good match. I mean, this is the thing. While I'm busy grousing about the booking, meanwhile, these people are going out there and busting their asses and giving us genuinely good matches. The talent is there. The booking is not.
Yeah. Kyle still on his crusade with gifted subs. Gifted 3 more tier 1 subs. Oh, man. Drew CRTP, Dubstep Rob, Grand Champion, yes. Grand BWO Patron Pick'ems Champion, Dubstep Rob. We have to remember that. And going in, Rob Zerver. Got a tier 1 sub from Kyle Cotton. Nice. Guys, make sure you thank Kyle for your gifted subs. Welcome, friendo, and others. And Drew, one of my work colleagues, got a gifted sub. He stops by every now and then. He said he thoroughly enjoyed the headbang challenge last week. He did. He showed up just in time to catch it. So if you guys haven't seen that yet, it's up on YouTube now. You can go watch it. It's a lot of fun.
I'm still sore.
Yeah, but literally. And then I went and did yard work the next day, and my whole back is all kinds of messed up. Anyway, thank you, Kyle, for the gift of subs. Costanza threw in 100 bits, said this was stupid. I think you're talking about the 2-minute thing.
Which part?
Yeah. Just Raw in general, or
it's well, real quick, it's worth noting about the headbang challenge, Nick, that you and I went and thoroughly headbanged to most of those songs after that was all done, just to cleanse
we were
it.
listening to a couple of them before the show today.
Before we started the show today.
Like it wasn't just me headbanging. It was the challenge of it. I legit discovered new bands. Polaris, I had never heard of. Fit for a King, I went back and I've revisited. I hadn't listened to them in a while. I love Fit for a King. But Polaris I had never heard of, and I love those guys now.
And you're now obsessed with Crystal Lake,
Crystal
too, yeah?
Lake, and the Ghost Inside was the one that actually broke me. I've been listening to the rest of their kind of discography. It's that's good stuff. So thank you very much, Costanza, for the 100 bits. Chevy with another 100 bits said, can we just get Asuka versus Shayna and turn them loose on each other? That's the hope. That's the hope.
I mean, one's going in the right direction, one's going in the wrong direction. Maybe they'll meet in the middle. Yeah. That's the only thing we can know.
We got a little bit of an indication of something that might be going awry with those two. We'll talk about that a little bit later, Sheppy. Let's see. Kyle threw in 100 bits, said, I want to be angry about this, but at the same time, excuse me. But
oh, jeez. Oh, God, he's dying, ladies and gentlemen.
It's bad, folks. But at the same time, it gives Nikki at least something, since she's basically at absolute zero booking-wise. At least let Rhea get her heat back in the following match. They took what could have been a great character loss to build Charlotte's new direction, just to go back to lol, Charlotte wins. The story as is should be Rhea and Charlotte giving each other fits by getting into each other's business. These two women should want to kill each other.
Yes, and right now it's just feeling very petty.
You do a 2-minute match. I bet you couldn't do a 2-minute match. Yeah.
You're just jealous,
you're just not good,
Charlotte. You're jealous of my title. Yeah. Like that's not Rhea. Look at her. She's not going to come up to someone and be like act like a mean girl. You're just jealous.
Well, that was Rhea when she showed up for the first Mae Young Classic with long blonde hair, and that ain't Rhea Ripley now.
Yeah, sweet, fresh-faced little 21-year-old straight off the Australian football team or whatever it was, volleyball. Not anymore. No. She's the chick in the mosh pit at the show that picks you up on her shoulders and slams you down because you ran into her too hard.
No, that's Shotzi.
No, Shotzi just dropped kicked
okay.
Different kind of offense. Anyway, the bottom line is that the Rhea's being misused. Now, that being said, if this is all a setup for some sort of inversion next week, when Charlotte goes against Nikki Cross and somehow loses, and Rhea faces Asuka and somehow wins as well, I don't know. They basically invert it and 50-50 booking it. It's something where I will say, well, that was a whole lot of sound and fury signifying nothing. We basically got back to where we started, but at the same time, at least it will make this week make some sense. Yeah. At least it will make me understand what they were thinking. Because right now,
Kyle threw in another 100 bits, said you can get this match with Charlotte and Rhea about repeating this Asuka 50-50 match. Playtime should be over for these two. Both should get angry, not catty. Totally. And this is what I was saying a little bit ago. They could have done this without the title on Rhea's shoulder. Like, there was enough story there, was enough history there with what went down between the Royal Rumble and WrestleMania last year to make this catty and chippy between Charlotte and Rhea. Meanwhile, Asuka had the title, and then you could do things differently. Then you could have Charlotte take it off. Then you have that chippiness with Rhea and Charlotte going into SummerSlam, and boom, this could have been fantastic. I will lay this may be controversial. Putting the title on Rhea Ripley at WrestleMania was a mistake. There, I said it.
I
it was a mistake.
Completely, utterly disagree.
Wrong.
Yeah, that's your cough was controversial. That is wrong.
Nope. They never. Nope. Never.
They absolutely should have. Rhea absolutely should be champ. She should have won at WrestleMania. They have just been bungling it ever since they've stumbled.
That's why she never should have had it.
Absolutely should have won. You can't put her in that match and not have her win it.
Yes, you can.
She had to win that. They just did not succeed on. They're not doing a good job of making her a good star since then.
Okay.
That's
agree to disagree on that
their
one.
Booking sense. We're going to.
What was that counterpoint game show back in the? I don't know.
I don't know either. But you know what I do know is that thank God for Matt Riddle and Xavier Woods, because they had a feud that came out of the disgruntlement between the New Day and Randy Orton from last week, So this week they decided to settle things by having Riddle and Xavier Woods have a singles match. And then they went ahead and gave it about 12, 13 minutes. A nice long little match.
Match I didn't know I wanted to see.
And god damn, I don't think a match anyone knew they wanted to see until it happened, and it was phenomenal. It was fantastic. It was superb. It was badass.
Mm-hmm.
People forget Xavier Woods can wrestle. The dude can go. And not only that, Matt Riddle I don't know if he's had a bad match since he came to the main roster. The worst he's had is like an okay match. This was another showing again, the guy can work with pretty much anybody and pull out a good match and tell a story. And they told a fantastic story about two guys just crashing into each other. Matt Riddle having the wrestling edge, Xavier Woods just being chippy and hitting hard. Every time he gets knocked down, he comes back with a bigger hit.
The thing to talk about with this match, though, is the finish. Matt Riddle lines up Xavier Woods into an RKO, gets the 1, 2, 3, and then goes and climbs up on the ropes and does the Randy Orton pose.
So there's a couple things I have to ask here, because first of all, I love that Riddle was getting frustrated that he couldn't beat Xavier Woods. Yeah. And so as a result of that, he was so mad he couldn't beat him that just at one point when he had him in position, he went for the RKO and beat him with it. And then he had that kind of dark, scary look on his face. And then it goes away and he brightens up. He goes back to Matt Riddle, right? And then poses like Randy Orton in the corner. So that's RK Bro is a very interesting angle that's going on Raw right now. And the interesting thing about it is I don't know where they're going with it. And there's so many ways they could go with it. And all of them would be interesting, would be good. Do they stay together and win the tag titles? Do they break up and feud? Does Riddle start idolizing Randy Orton and turn to the dark side? Is the Viper starting to infect Riddle, if you will? Which is what it kind of seemed like with the finish this week. That's all interesting, good stuff. And then meanwhile, we get matches like this, which are fantastic. It's one of the highlights of Raw this week. The reason it's something if you don't want to watch the whole thing, go check it out on YouTube because it's freaking good. There's at one point it was a monkey flip into a suplex.
Yeah.
Riddle monkey flips and Xavier catches him in a suplex position. Catches him and then suplexes him. That was nuts.
There was one spot on the outside that was a little scary that I wanted to call attention to. He had him up in the fireman's carry and he does almost like it's a John Cena FU or a attitude adjustment. Drops him down onto the apron, but Riddle's legs catch as Xavier was jumping off the apron. He rotated a little bit, and Riddle's legs caught the top rope, and you could see him. He came down on the top of his shoulder and almost came down on his neck, and I kind of went.
He sold it. He sold it. This was one of my favorite parts. Is he sells it like he's stunned, just like he's got the wind knocked out of him.
I've never seen that face on Riddle before.
And Corey Graves goes, well, you should try hanging out with him on a Saturday night. That is, and it was so quick. Like, Corey, look at you. But Xavier got a bit of a receipt too, not intentionally maybe, because he tried to get suplexed in from the outside. Riddle was doing Dakota Ibushi and tried to suplex him in from outside and just put him down right on the top of his neck, right on the back of his head, bringing him back in. It was ugly looking. It was ugly, but Xavier apparently was okay. But yeah, this was a great match, and you know what? I'm down to see more of this. That being said, how do you have New Day versus RK Bro if Kofi's in the title picture?
They've been doing it with the women's division for months now.
That's a very good point.
Then we're going to insert AJ and Omos into this with the actual tag team champions, and they're going to be a part of this whole thing because then we'll have New Day, RK Bro, and AJ and Omos,
who are currently off losing to Jackson Riker, I might add. We had AJ Styles versus Jackson Riker this week. And thanks to some interference from Elias, who was hiding over in the timekeeper's area and ran out and kneed AJ in the face while the ref's back was turned, AJ Styles was then brought into the ring by Jackson Riker and pinned. I'll say it again. Jackson Riker pinned AJ Styles in a singles match. Now,
let's pause for a moment and let that sink in.
Yes, but while you're pausing and letting it sink in, I should remind you that Gunner and AJ Styles also faced twice in TNA. And both times, Gunner got the pin. AJ Styles has never pinned Jackson Riker in the 3 times they've had singles matches. That's a stat for you.
That is a stat.
Now, granted, all 3 times there was distraction finishes, but still, the same finish every time.
Before we get too far, I want to read out some call-outs from the last match. Jay Wolf cheered 100 bits, said, "Hola, just got off the plane, and I'm ready for some reviews of the Graps." Welcome, Jay. Thank you very much, man. Costanza threw in 100 bits, said that move when Corey lost his mind was insane. What move was that? Was that the
that was monkey flip one.
Okay. Yeah, that was nuts. Costanza also said, "I want heel Riddle." That's the thing I wanted to talk about is the match is fine. It was fine. It was fun. What's up with Riddle? Is he hearing the voices in his head now? Is he turning to the side of Randy Orton?
Is it a single white female kind of thing? You know, right? That was kind of what I was saying. Was not sure where they're going with it, but I don't think we should see heel Riddle right now because we're about to go back into fans, and unless how do you Riddle is built to have like running out, bumping fists and everything. I can see a few reasons why they might want to turn Riddle heel before that, but it seems counterintuitive to a guy who is so built to be over.
Is he kind of a Bailey syndrome here, where we want him to be the hugger stoner type?
Well,
and if you flip him heel, there's no going back from that.
Yeah, a little bit. And the difference is that his face character actually works, and hers never really did on the main roster.
It was a very NXT thing. You're right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Last one, Kyle threw in 100 bits, said Ian and Nick arguing about whether Rhea should have the championship is like the Animaniacs. Good idea, bad idea. Good idea. Build the feud with Charlotte without the title. Bad idea. Rhea loses in back-to-back title matches.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
Bad idea. Rhea loses at WrestleMania. Good idea. Rhea wins at WrestleMania. It's that simple, really.
She lost at WrestleMania last year. It's fine. She'll be fine.
That's why she shouldn't do it twice.
She'll be fine.
We would have shit all over it. We would have buried them for doing that. Are you kidding me? You have Rhea lose twice, and this is not how you build a new star. Rah, 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 rah.
You're right. We would have buried the shit out of it.
We would have. It would have been a terrible idea. You don't put Rhea in that match unless you want her to win. Full stop.
One more from Kyle. It said Marshall was messaging me on Facebook right after Riker won with a bunch of anger for his boy AJ. Even as someone more positive, I had nothing for him to reason with him. Riker should not beat AJ Styles. It was dumb in TNA, and it's dumb here.
Yeah,
agreed.
I mean, I saw Sean Ross Sapp catch a bunch of flack online for saying the exact same thing. Saying just straight up that is Jackson Riker should not be beating AJ Styles. I am inclined to agree. However, it's a matter of what the long-term story they're telling here is. And for some strange reason, they've decided that story is that AJ is the weak link in the team with him and Omos. And after AJ lost, Omos was so pissed that AJ was messed up in this way, was screwed over in this way. He runs out, finds Elias hiding in the timekeeper's booth in one of the most hilarious angles I've seen on WWE TV in a while. Like the camera guy was on the floor looking up underneath Elias's face, and up as Omos just looms over the top of the barricade, grabs Elias by the head, tosses him out, and chases him and Riker up the ramp with some terrifying speed. That's a fast big man. Terrifying. Chases them up the ramp. The entire time screaming, "What did you say about BLM, Riker?" And finally, he does a big old shoulder block Elias into the LED boards, making them all go haywire and blacking them out. So Omos getting some measure of revenge after the match for AJ. AJ Styles as the weak link in this tag team is not what I had on my bingo card for 2021. No. I'm not going to lie. No. At least they protected him with the fudge finish here. But it's AJ freaking Styles. It's not like they can't build him back up to the main event picture overnight if they want to, because it's AJ Styles. Like in the grand scheme of things, this really doesn't matter that much that he lost to Riker here, because it was, Elias interfered. Omos was not ringside. Like, okay. But it's still, this is the kind of thing where you go, you question why they're doing it to someone like AJ Styles. What's the thought process? Omos is the unstoppable giant, but why does that necessarily mean that his tag team partner has to eat pins and be the goofy one. And he was. He's been the goofy. AJ's been the pin eater and the goofy one since before WrestleMania. This is not new, right? But when it was the New Day pinning him, we were all like, well, at least it's the New Day. It's just because it's Jackson Riker that everyone's going, really?
Yeah.
Riker? Really? So, yeah, I don't have an answer for you.
Costanza threw in 100 bits, said that would be like being chased by Bigfoot.
Little bit.
Yeah.
You ever see those beef jerky commercials?
Yeah.
Don't mess with Bigfoot or Sasquatch, whatever they call them.
I don't know. Whatever that jerk links is what it is. Is what that's called.
Is that what it is? Don't be a jerk to Bigfoot. That's what happened here. They stole Bigfoot's jerk links.
Well, they used to mess with it. They'd like put it like spike boards out, him step on them, and they'd come get him.
All right. So look, at the end of the day, is this a feud that is worthy of
no?
Hell in a Cell? No. Like what other tag team's going to come along to face them? We have other ones.
RK Bro and New Day.
Sure. Or Viking Raiders. Remember they're
back,
still on Raw. Yeah. But for some reason we're sticking with Elias and Jackson Riker. Maybe because they're a team that, at the end of the day, Omos can just destroy when they finally have a title match.
Yeah.
I don't know. This definitely a lot of head scratching, a lot of shaking of my head.
Yes, thank you, Costanza. War Machine!
Thank you, War Machine.
It's been a minute since I've gotten to do that.
But at the same time, I liked seeing Omos. They're doing a good job of making Omos seem cool. That's, if I'm looking on the bright side, at least there's that. Speaking of looking cool, Sheamus came out again in his flasher jacket and flashed us all the U.S. Championship, which was not on the line as he faced Humberto Carrillo again. Apparently he's back from injury. He's been cleared to fight again. And so he basically came out to the ring and got his ass kicked by Sheamus again. Same story we've seen the last time that they had a match, which was Sheamus is going to beat him up all match. A little bit of babyface fire, which ultimately Sheamus is going to put down by cheating, pulls the tights, and gets the win on Carrillo before Ricochet comes out, blindsides him, and the two little baby flyer guys kick Sheamus's ass till he goes flying out of the ring. So, yay. Not totally mad at this, Nick. I like Carrillo. I like Ricochet. I like what they're doing with Sheamus. I like him being the big bully that has the U.S. title. What is the end game, though? We had suspected that Carrillo might be getting his push stopped because he got injured, but he's back now. He's looking strong at the end of the match here by standing up to Sheamus. But Ricochet is also do the same thing. Does it end up in a triple threat? Is this Ricochet and Carrillo perhaps starting a tag team? Or how do you see this falling? How are the dominoes falling?
Costanza threw in 100 bits and asked what the right question actually is, which is, where in the hell is Keith Lee?
Well, that's a question that only Keith Lee can answer, and he did put out a statement this week saying, look, I know you're all impatient to find out what happened. I'm trying to find an expedient and easy way to explain everything, but give me more time, please. Apparently it's a personal issue. People like Baron Corbin and Mia Yim are both saying it's nobody's business but yours. You tell them when you're ready to tell them what's going on. So we don't know what's up with Keith, whether it's an issue of him being cleared, whether it's creative issues, personal issues. We don't know what's up with him. We don't know if he's going to come back or not at this point. He's making it sound like things are still positive, but he's a positive guy. You never know. He could be trying to put a nice spin on it. So,
could be. All the best. I hope it's not something bad.
I do too. And if this is just Ricochet and Carrillo keeping Sheamus busy until Keith Lee comes back, a little disappointing, but I'm fine with that too. Because this is, I like Ricochet
and Carrillo. They can do crazy stuff. And it's Sheamus. He's always a good time.
They can. I'm looking forward to them getting some crowds back.
What's the end game here, you asked me? I feel like this is treading water too. If it somehow, some way, Ricochet gets a sneaky roll up and gets the United States Championship off of Sheamus, does Humberto Carrillo come after Ricochet and we have that feud now?
Well, let's look at the feud as a whole because, typically when they're doing things like this, there is some overarching plan. We need to make Sheamus look strong, right? AJ Styles is going to get pinned by Jackson Riker because we need to piss off Omos, and the whole point of that whole thing is to make Omos into a star. Here, I can't tell if we're trying to make Carrillo relevant or Ricochet relevant, or if we're trying to make Sheamus look like a strong bully champ. I can't tell what their intention is because it's a little bit muddled, right? if you look at anything on the show, you want to find out what their intention is. Like that's the basic bottom line is who are they trying to push? What's their intention with the angle, right? Get Charlotte Flair over. That's pretty much the easy one in the women's division, right? Keep Charlotte Flair relevant. She's a star. Make her a star. It's certainly not make Rhea a star because they're not accomplishing that if that is their goal. But here it is. Here is it. Sheamus. We want to make Sheamus look strong and powerful and like a bully and get some heat on him because he's a bully and he's bullying these fan favorite high flyers. Or is it, let's make these high flyers look like something special against a guy like Sheamus who has a pedigree that we can then utilize to make them look like they're standing up to this bully. Right? It could be both, but it's a little muddled. It's hard to tell. And that's why I'm putting it out there like, what do you think it is?
I want it to be Ricochet. I want Ricochet, the work that they've been doing, have Ali come up and feud with him again more like they've been doing on Main Event. Like I want it to be Ricochet. But I don't know that I don't have faith that I trust. I don't have faith or trust that they're going to put it on Ricochet.
Costanza asked in the chat if anyone knows what the 25 cities they're going to be on the summer tour is. No, we only know the first 3 so
they're
far.
all in Texas.
We only know all 25 cities in Texas.
Florida. Yeah.
No, I don't. They'll probably go some other places too, but
the only ones they've announced are the first 3 in Texas.
Right.
I've been looking too. I'm anxious. I want to go.
Yeah, if they go through your part of your neck of the woods there, Nick.
Yep.
You know.
Oh, I'll be going over for sure.
I know. You know where they're not going? My neck of the woods. No.
I don't know. Staples is a pretty hot venue, man.
Staples is a hot venue. I mean, they'll be here eventually. I just don't know if it's going to be on the summer tour.
Kyle, continuing his gifting ways, gifted another tier 1
Saint
sub
Kyle.
to Nero 822222222. Thank you very much, Kyle Nero. Thank you very much for thanking Kyle in the chat there. I saw you, man. Kyle also threw in 100 bits. Said Ricochet and Carrillo made me think loss title match with Sheamus and then turn them into an amazing tag team after the loss, which makes me wonder where most of the tag division is. Like you had a Lucha House Party vignette and nothing since.
Right.
You've seen more with Eva than Lucha House Party.
Oh, God. Don't even say her name around me.
Oh, she's an athlete this week, apparently.
Yes. Yes. Right. Her little bit this week is she's an athlete. Just because you work out a lot does not mean that you're an athlete or that you have any talent, any appreciable talent, although they try to keep telling us that she does.
Oh, you can run down a beach. That's cool.
Ooh. So can I. I don't look as good doing it. So I don't make as much money as she does because I'm not as good looking. But then, I'm not a big fan of people who are famous for being good looking. But I mean, honestly, I'd be in shape too if I had to, use all my neck and shoulder muscles to pull up that much pancake on my face. That's a lot of weight on your neck and shoulders. Oof. At any rate, saltiness aside, I'm so sick of her already. I'm so sick of devolution. Diva Marie. Shelton Benjamin
got cut off of the Hulu edition again this week.
Shelton Benjamin, you missed out.
I'm going back and watch it
once
tonight.
Again. It's become a little bit repetitive. You've got Shelton in the ring being held back by the referee while Cedric Alexander runs down a promo on him. Same promo. You're the reason we were kicked out of the Hurt Business. Your career is over. You're irrelevant. It's my time. I'm in my prime.
Nonsense.
He's starting to.
I'm in my prime.
Right. He's actually sounding less like Val Kilmer and more kind of like a prepubescent Chris Rock at this point. I don't know what's going on with Cedric's voice. Like, kind of sound like this. You go get in the ring. It's Shelton Benjamin. What are you doing? Getting in the ring.
Well, it's the guy from Coming to America that introduced the band Sexual Chocolate. He was the preacher.
That's Mark Henry you're thinking of.
No. Arsenio Hall did it.
He's Sexual Chocolate.
No.
Anyway, but once this time Cedric promised a win and he got it, ultimately poking the eye of Shelton Benjamin and getting the pin. Boink! And got the pin. Shelton was trying to tell the ref afterwards and got blindsided again, and Cedric stood tall. Cool. It's the only feud I feel at this point is actually worthy of being in a cell at Hell in a Cell because they hate each other. I'm like, I want to see the blow off in a cell. Also, because these two guys would kill it. If you give them a cell and 20 minutes on a pay-per-view, they would go out there and kill it. Like, this match was cool. I love that Shelton is trying to, bust out his old moves because Cedric has him too scouted. Like it's a really cool little feud. They're putting a lot of like depth into, and WWE is nice enough to at least give them some time, even though they're not in the Hulu edition. So I don't know. And then finally, the main event of Raw. Here we go.
Dumpster
Your
fire.
favorite, Nick. The rematch. The ex-champions Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler taking on Natalya and Tamina. Reginald told not to come to ringside before the match by Shayna Baszler, saying, "You're always distracting us. You're a distraction. You're not the distraction that we need. Stay backstage, or I'll give you a reason to want to stay backstage," or something like that. There you go. Big words from Shayna. We go out to the ring, and they give them a decent length of a match. They gave them about 7 to 10. And actually, we end up getting a better match than we'd ever seen from them, because we've seen these two teams fight a lot over the last month and a half. But we finally, I think, actually got a match that was worthy of both teams. Like, there was actually some exciting moments. Nia and Tamina actually had some big hoss lady moments that I was very appreciative of, including the finale was Nia tossing Tamina over the barricade off of her shoulders, leaving Natalya all alone to face Shayna and Nia. Shayna starts beating down Natalya, so inexplicably, Reginald decides at that point to come out and go, "Well, now I'm going to help out, because of course, I know this is the best time, now that you are 2-on-1. Comes out to the ring, distracts the ref while Shayna has Natalya pinned. She's furious, gets distracted, and as she sends Reginald to the back, "Get out of here, you're screwing me up." He goes walking to the back, and the entire top of the ramp explodes into flame. And he goes rolling back down the ramp, and while Shayna is, watching this, Natalya comes up behind her, rolls her up, 1, 2, 3. Inside cradle, Shayna Baszler loses the match and the rematch. She goes out, helps Reggie to his feet, makes sure he's okay, and then berates him, saying, "You stupid idiot. I told you were going to get us in trouble. Next week, if you have the balls, you can face me, and I'm going to kick your ass." Okay. So, Nick, quite a bit to unpack here. One, Nia and Shayna officially out of the women's title picture, at least for now. Yeah. Is that not a good thing in your world?
No. Well, I mean, out of the title picture, I'm going to do air quotes and say that. They'll be back next week.
Okay.
Somehow, some way. I think the the interesting thing that I take away from this, to close out Raw, of all things, close out Raw, we're going to get an intergender match between Reginald and Shayna Baszler. Is this the end of Shayna and Nia as we know it?
Am I crazy for being down to see Shayna and Reginald? Like, I'm down.
No.
I'm down.
I'm down to see it too, if it has the ending, if it ends up being the thing that separates Shayna from Nia Jax.
And turns Shayna back into a stone cold killer.
Please.
Yes.
For
Agreed.
the love of God.
So if there's something else, Nick, that I could tell you that might make you feel better, it's that having the Flames supposedly targeting Reginald, to me, indicates that Alexa Bliss is targeting Nia Jax. It's 2 weeks in a row, right? So Alexa Bliss may be targeting Nia Jax. If so, and Shayna gets split off from her, and Shayna goes and does her own thing, have feud with Asuka, please. Then, and Alexa Bliss and Nia Jax have a little feud. Okay. All right. Fine. All right.
I mean, if she were to accidentally be set on fire,
Oh, stop. Didn't we have some sort of bet where you said that you want Nia set on fire and I was going to have to eat a shoe or something?
No, if she gets set on fire, I'm taking that thing out back and setting it on fire.
That's right. I told you you get to burn that. Yeah, you get to burn your stand-up of Nia Jax.
We're going to do it live, damn it. All you get to watch. I'll move this whole operation out to the backyard.
You're taking way too much pleasure in this, man. All right, so we know where Nick's bread is buttered.
Dear WWE, make this happen.
You may get your wish. It's looking more and more like that. Natalya and Tamina were fine here. This is the best I've seen Tamina look in a long time. Like, the Haas stuff between her and Nia was good. The technical stuff between Natalya and Shayna was good. There was stuff to like about this match. It was not a complete dumpster fire. We've seen a lot of these two teams together. There's been a lot of stuff that was more cringy, that was more head slapping than this. So if this was a dumpster fire, then everything else was a nuclear blast.
Costanza agrees with you. He threw in 100 bits, said this wasn't a dumpster fire. This was the whole landfill on fire.
he's saying this was worse than a dumpster fire, is what he's saying. Yeah,
I know.
I'm not saying.
Oh,
I'm saying this was not a dumpster fire. This was like the little trash can that you have in your bathroom, right next to the toilet. You kind of throw like the when you blow your nose, you're gonna throw your tissue in there, like the little things you use to clean your ears. That kind of little. It's like that kind of fire. It's not a whole dumpster. It's trash fire, but it's not the whole dumpster. Not the landfill. The landfill was having having Natty and Tamina lose at WrestleMania and then beat Shayna and Nia in singles competition for a month and then finally win the championships on the second segment of a random SmackDown right before a pay-per-view, and then a couple weeks later have them on the main event of Raw. That's a landfill fire. This segment,
well said.
It's just a little bathroom trash can fire. But that being said, Alexa Bliss was not present for this, even though she was present for their match last week. That being said, there is some speculation, partially by myself, that one of the reasons why they pushed this to the end of the show, and one of the reasons why ultimately, because Alexa was backstage, we do know that. However, one reason why she may not have come out, and they may have pushed this later to see if they could get her to come out, was because, if you didn't hear, Nick, her pig, Larry Steve, has been very sick lately, and apparently all Sunday and Monday, he was in a lot of pain. He was crying. He was very unhappy, and they were calling around to veterinarians and trying to get a vet to take him. And apparently their regular vet said, "I'm sorry, he's too big. I can't take him at that weight." They couldn't find any other animal practitioner to help them with him either because of his weight or because they don't work on pigs, which a lot of places don't. And I guess that all Monday night, she had to go to work and leave him at home and was on the phone with him the whole show and listening to him crying into the phone the whole show. And then he passed away late last night, early this morning. I mean, I'm having a hard time getting that out without getting misty as a pet owner, as someone who's owned many pets in my time. And like the agony of what that must have been like to go through is heart-stopping.
And she didn't even really did she make an appearance at all?
No, not at all.
Why did she have to be there?
Because they thought they were going to use her. And I guess I'm
furious if I went there and sat there for hours and didn't get TV time with that going on.
Yeah. Unless, she was not in a state emotionally to be on TV. Which is my suspicion. If I was sitting if I was dutifully going into work at the bar or wherever I'm working at the time or on a set or whatever, and I was being there being a good soldier, and I had people over here taking care of Dog Ziggler, and I was on the phone with him listening to him cry, like I would have been the good soldier and gone to work, but I probably wouldn't be in an emotional condition to do good work.
I wouldn't go to work.
You know what I mean? So I understand both sides of it.
I get it
in a sense.
Kyle Cotton threw in 100 bits, said two positive from the main event though. Natty and Shayna are smooth as butter chain wrestling with each other. I could watch 10 minutes of just those two chest matching in the ring. It
was nice.
The Pyro Man nearly killed Reggie as if he were Kenny. And now we get to see him die again next week. I'm actually higher on this than most of the rest of Raw because it's giving me something I want. Kill Reggie. Ross Tweedale voice, kill, kill, kill.
That was a bigger explosion than the one at the end of the exploding barbed wire death match.
True. So was the one that from the ring post last week.
Just the single ring post was a bigger.
This was the whole stage.
The whole stage.
Nero 8222 threw in 100 bits. Said since Alexa hijacked Bray's gimmick, where does he go from here? Thank you, Nero.
That's a great question, and there's a lot of questions circling Bray right now. Of course, there's a rumor out there that he's taking time off due to emotional issues, still dealing with Brody Lee's death, or other reasons. Could be creative burnout. We don't know. Yeah. It could be that he's not even taking time off. They just don't even have anything for him. There's nothing that's been confirmed yet. So there's a few places that it could go. You split them up in the draft, have them on different shows, and you have two Fiends. You have Bray come back and work some sort of mystical revenge angle where he runs counter to her and tries to, stymie her. Yeah, they come back and have some sort of angle where they get back together and they figure stuff out. There's a lot of stuff you could do with Bray.
They made that big of a
I just
showing at
don't think
WrestleMania for a reason and haven't followed through with it on some level.
Well, that's not exactly like that's anything new, right? You can have something big and drop it immediately in WWE, and it's not going to be out of the realm of possibility. Something that happens actually quite often, right? Little things, big things.
But I want it.
You have big pushes, and then it just goes away. So yeah, I'm curious where they're going with Alexa more than I am with Bray, because I feel like they've set some stuff up here, but I'm like, keep her away from the title picture, keep her doing other stuff. Like, there's a lot of stuff they can do with Alexa and there's a lot of stuff I don't want them to do with Alexa. They shouldn't do with Alexa for the sake of storytelling.
Nia Jax on fire.
Calm down over there, Nick.
Costanza with 200 bits. Thank you, sir. Said that's a bunch of shit. Save the animals. Yeah, I agree. It's I think you can get a hall pass from work for a night. Especially when you're not even going to be on TV to take care of your family.
Ultimately they find they don't really need you anyway. But this is the problem with doing things last minute, is that you never know.
Yeah. Thank you, Chris. Thank you, everybody, for all the bits. Appreciate it.
Thank you, guys. Really. Anyway, all right. Well, coming out of that kind of heaviness, isn't it? I got just a couple things to kind of just muse on Raw at the end of this all. Raw is 3 hours still. Obviously, we talk about that all the time. But here's a Raw where we didn't have a whole lot happen, but we had a lot of longer matches. Now, unfortunately, some of them ended with fudge finishes, and that's disappointing. But we did get really good work from the performers in them, and then we had some longer ones where we got to see some good work in the ring, like Riddle and Xavier. Is having Raw be 3 hours so that we can get longer matches from a larger roster, is that actually a good thing about the 3 hour length, or am I just grasping at straws?
I think you're grasping a little bit. I think if they were to trim it down to 2 hours, they'd be forced into a position like SmackDown or Dynamite or NXT for that matter. They'd be forced into a position to put the good thing, prioritize. You'd be forced to prioritize what you put on TV. Much like the Hulu edition, you're forced into it. You have 90 minutes. You're forced into a position to prioritize and cherry pick what gets on the Hulu edition. Same effects. Same thing would happen if they were to chop an hour off of that. And I'm sure USA could find something to do to get 1 million people to watch something in that third hour.
And probably less fudge finishes and less rematches.
Yep. Less kind of just treading water on stuff that they don't really know what to do with anyway.
And hopefully less like half an hour before the show. Shit! Vince tore the script up. Shit! We gotta go. Come on. Oh, God, what are we gonna do today? I don't know. I hope that ends soon. JR actually said in an interview recently that when he was at WWE, like, they didn't know what they were doing up until the show was starting then either. Yeah. And, he's enjoying an AEW. Tony Khan's got stuff planned out 2 weeks in advance. So he's got all of his stuff set up and ready to go. And he said that it's a matter of storytelling. He says that the most important thing in our business is storytelling, which is something that Vince would echo in theory, but it's hard to tell stories where you don't know where you're going moment to moment. Yeah. And essentially, like, it's hard to tell a story if you're an actor and you're getting up on stage and you're trying to tell a story with improv. It's a lot harder to tell a satisfactory story than if you have a script.
Yeah,
and I'll leave it at that. But Nick, with that, we're coming to the end of our show, which means that we need to do a little segment that we like to call our moment of positivity. The moment of positivity. That's right. It's a time on the show where we think back over the last few days of wrestling and try to find something that made us happy, that made us smile, that gave us the warm fuzzies, and we want to spread it out to all of you listening and watching to our show, wherever you may be consuming it. We want to spread that joy and that happiness and that positivity to you as well. So I hope you take this in and puts a big smile on your face. So, Nick, what is your moment of positivity for the show today? And don't say Adnan Virk being fired, being mutually dismissed. Because that's just mean. The man's out. I mean, granted, he's got other jobs. He'll be fine. But,
he's got baseball commentary jobs lined up around his block. He'll be fine. It was never going to work out. I was looking for the comments today that I made a couple of weeks ago of if he's here in a month, I'll be surprised.
Right.
This is why. It was never going to last. Like, it was never going to last.
No, it's not. I mean, he wasn't. Look at the end of the day. He wasn't Mike Adamle, right? He wasn't Art Donovan. He's not good. Probably people are going to forget about him pretty quickly.
Yeah.
He was a dude that got thrown into the deep end of the pool. He didn't even know the names. He wasn't given a briefing. He was going and looking at WWE.com the night before his debut because he didn't know who everybody was. He jumped in both feet first or he was thrown rather into the deep end of the pool by his quote unquote friend, Nick Khan, who, I'd have to imagine that Vince is going to look at that and be like, okay, strike one there, buddy. But at the same time, like he was doomed here. It would be like you or me, Nick, being told that, tomorrow we had to announce for like a Chelsea versus Manchester United game.
Oh, I'd be screwed.
You're totally screwed.
I have no idea.
Totally screwed. Do I know a bit about football, soccer? Yeah.
I don't know shit.
Could I probably call someone? Yeah. Could I call out who's who? Could I be, call across and all the different nuances of it? No. I'd be screwed. That's the position that Adnan was in, and he's actually a professional announcer. So it doesn't surprise me at all. We said from the beginning it was doomed. We hope he would be gone soon because he never fit, he never gelled. They tried. Corey and Byron were just, they were supporting him like Atlas supporting the earth, but it was never going to happen. I'm glad at least, Nick, they failed fast. But that's not what our moment of positivity is about. I apologize. I hijacked it.
I was totally setting up for something, but you ran with it. Good job.
Sorry.
It's definitely the match between Xavier and Riddle. The match I didn't know. The match I didn't know I needed or that I wanted. And the fact that I love teasers of things. So the fact that he landed an RKO to close the match, and go over and stood up on the ring post and posed like Orton. You have my attention. That's storytelling. That's teasing. I want to see where this goes. That's whetting my appetite. I am all in on Riddle kind of hearing the voices in his head, so to speak. So that's definitely mine. That's it's a Mucinex.
Jesus Christ.
Sorry, guys.
Nick is dying over
I'm
there.
struggling today. How about you, Surrey and Dangerous? What was your moment of positivity?
Well, it's okay. You got back at me for hijacking the segment with an Adnan rant by taking my moment of positivity.
Yay.
So, that's now I've got to find
Jackson
one.
Riker beat AJ Styles. That should have been mine.
I mean, it's one step closer to him main eventing WrestleMania.
Yeah.
Nick booking could still come true.
I'm still holding out hope that one day it will.
It is more likely than ever that Jackson Riker could main event WrestleMania. I want you all to sit and think about that. It's supposed to be a moment of positivity. Now I'm making it into a moment of fear and trepidation. Sit and think that we have never been closer since Nick first proselytized and predicted that Jackson Riker would main event WrestleMania way back when he was the strong silent type next to the Forgotten Sons. Who? The Forgotten Sons. What? You forgot about them. The Forgotten Sons. The guys that actually got fired when Jackson Riker ran his mouth off on Twitter and said shit that everyone wanted to cancel him for. They were the ones that got canceled. Ironic? Maybe. Sad? Yes. But Riker is now closer than he ever has been to being in a main event of WrestleMania. 2021, ladies and gentlemen. 2021. Man. You know what? I'll say this. Shayna Baszler is back. The way that she accosted Reginald at the end of the show, screamed in his face she's going to kick his ass.
You son of a bitch.
And you son of a bitch. I'm going to kill you. Like, that was, yes, gave me a little bit of hope. It was at a very weird part of the show. We're going home on Shayna Baszler threatening Reginald.
With Nia, like, weirdly posing against the barricade in the back. Not intervening in any way.
No. I mean, I like that. You make it so no one wants to mess with Shayna when she's mad. I like that.
Okay.
I'm positive. I'm feeling skeptically optimistic that the show actually, like, as much as it was weird to have that be the main event finale of the show and have that be the closing image was Shayna stalking off after accosting and threatening Reginald's life. I was still like, whoa, Shayna. We might be bringing Shayna back. Hope springs eternal in the heart of the WWE fan, right? Before it's inevitably crushed. Right. But I have hope. Okay, skeptically optimistic. Bring it on. Bring me back, Killer Shayna.
Yes, please. And send
please.
her after Asuka.
So Shayna being back to being scary is my moment of positivity.
Costanza threw in 100 bits, said my mop is Riddle versus Xavier. Good choice. Thank you, sir. So Kyle threw in 100 bits, said Nikki Cross getting positive TV time. for her as my mop. Wish it didn't come at Rhea's expense, but happy for Nikki.
You know what, Kyle? That says a lot about you that you're able to see past Rhea looking like a fool in that segment. And I know Rhea's your girl, to be able to see that Nikki actually came out looking really good from that. And it was actually, like you said, positive TV time. So that's a moment of positivity right there. You being able to see the positive in that. So.
Well, there you go, guys. There's Monday Night Raw, but we're not done for tonight. We do still have our weekly patron mailbag that we're going to be doing after we take a quick 10-minute break here. Let's call it, we'll come back at 30 after the hour, wherever time zone you might be in. Right after we do the outro here, we'll give you guys some time to take a quick bio break, grab a drink, grab a snack, all that good stuff. Come back. The patron name, well, I think we're going to rebadge it as well. We're going to be calling
Snuggle your pets.
Huh?
I said take a break, snuggle your pets.
Yes.
Today's the day to hug your pets.
Yes, man. Love on them for sure. Linktree.com/BWO. Don't forget the link at the very bottom. Cops and BWO merch. All the new designs are up there, so you can get the new logo, tees, and you can get the new Funhouse line of merch across a whole myriad of different items, whether it's mouse pads, blankets, hoodies, t-shirts, and tank tops and coffee mugs. All the stuff's on there. Head over there. If you see something that's not on there that you want, let me know, and I'll see if we can get it added for you. But linktree.com/BWO. Like, share, subscribe, do all those things. Help us get the word out about Busted Wide Open, and we appreciate all you guys doing that. Patron special shout out to all of you. The namesake of the show that we're following up this is the patron mailbag, and it's because of you guys. Thank you for getting your questions in every single week. It's one of our favorite things that we do. If you'd like to get yours in, head over to patreon.com/BWO. All you got to be in is that $5 tier. And hey, YouTubers, all you got to be in over there is the $5 tier as well. And you too can ask questions coming from YouTube memberships. So many, many ways to support the show, many, many ways to participate in the mailbag shows every week. Ian, you wanted to just jump in there?
I was just going to say, don't hug your pets if they're like a goldfish or something. They don't like being hugged.
No, they need to be in
kind of
water.
Just kind of like caress their tank. They don't like it when you tap on their tank. Just kind of caress the side of the tank a little bit. And if you have a tarantula, don't hug them either. That's just weird. And it's kind of weird that you have a tarantula as a pet in the first place.
Don't have tarantulas.
To each their own. No, I don't judge. It's fine. Just don't hug them. Don't hug them. But just tell them you appreciate them and like throw them a small mouse or something.
Sure. But until next time, my name is Nick Howell. You can find me on Twitter at DataCenterDude.
And I am Sir Ian Dangerous. You can find me on Twitter at Sir Ian Dangerous.
But by God!
Would somebody stop the damn match?
This show is part of the Orbital Jigsaw Network. For more episodes, subscribe to us on iTunes, Google Play, or Stitcher Radio. For details and show notes from each episode, check us out, orbitaljigsaw.com.